It's looking like Nico and his representatives might have overvalued what he's actually worth. Grass isn't always greener. Sometimes you overvalue yourself. Here's a great comment. That didn't last long. Market for Nico might be slim. Definitely not going to get $4 million. Lost all leverage with how things went down at Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great Tuesday. Hope all of you having a great start to your week. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. We got to talk about guess who again? Nico Iamaleava. And I know you're just sitting there saying, man, we've been talking about him a lot. Well, yeah, that's because that's the only thing going on in sports right now. Not only is it a big topic and situation, but we are getting constant updates on it 24/7, and I'm trying my best to keep you guys updated every single day. As we all know, if you haven't been living under a rock, Tennessee's 5-star prestigious quarterback, their starting quarterback at that, Nico, he randomly announces, well, first things first, they had some disagreements with NIL, a dispute, whatever you want to call it, and then it gets leaked out. He's leaving. He's transferring. That is what has led us up until this point. If you're not caught up to date, that's all you needed to know. He wanted more money, around the $4 million per year range, and Josh Hype on Tennessee, credit to them, they told him to kick rocks. They weren't going to bow down to him. They told Iamaleava, you alright, but you ain't worth $4 million doubloons. We gonna pass. Can you fault Tennessee? I can't. I wouldn't give this guy $4 million. I wouldn't have gave him $2 million in the first place. At the same time, can you fault, not Tennessee, can you fault Nico? I can't. Hate the game, not the player. Can't be mad at somebody in this life for trying to go after more money. I'm not saying you gotta like it, but I don't think you should be mad at it. With everything that has transpired in the past couple of days, we now face a big conundrum. I think that's the first time I've ever used that word on this channel, but let's just roll with it. Tennessee no longer has a starting quarterback. They gotta figure something out there. And Nico no longer has a team. He's in the portal, so what's going on with him? Great question, Matt. I'd love to answer it. And guess what? We got an update. Yesterday, these were the 3 schools that were rumored to be in the running for Mr. Nico Iamaleava. UCLA, North Kakalaki, and Tulane. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I mean this with all due respect. Where did Tulane get $4 million from? Am I just out of the loop on things? I didn't know they had the doubloons like that, but I guess they do. I digress. The other 2 make sense. We know North Kakalaki, they got the bread, and UCLA, they got the bread as well. The one that started to pick up some real traction yesterday was North Carolina. On3 posted, Intel, Bill Belichick will be a quote-unquote known buyer in the quarterback market this spring, Pete Nako's reports. Quote-unquote, Iamaleava's asking price of $4 million could be too much for North Carolina. Kevin Rich said, we got the money, but I don't want this kid at all. I don't think he's worth that kind of money and could be toxic in the locker room. This is a good comment. Belichick didn't want to pay Tom Brady. There's 0 chance Buddy gets a dime from Billy. I agree. My immediate reaction to the North Carolina rumors going on doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I don't think they're going to dish out $4 million for one singular player. Not going to happen. Things really started to heat up yesterday when not only were these rumors flying around, he got crystal ball, and by he, I'm talking about Nico, to North Carolina, as you can see right here. For those of you who don't know what a crystal ball prediction is, these are a really big deal because these are recruiting experts. Whenever you hear or see a player get crystal ball to go to a school, this isn't like some random Joe Schmo predicting where he thinks he's going to go on Twitter. No. Like I said, these are recruiting experts that are in the industry, and more times than not, I'd say 85% of the time, they get these right. Maybe 90% of the time. Fast forward in time a little bit to only a couple hours later, new reports start coming out that North Carolina, what was looking like the front runner to land Nico, or I guess you'd say the team that is leading the race for him, is out of the mix for Tennessee transfer quarterback Nico. It is now being stated that North Carolina, they're not going after Nico, they're going after South Alabama's quarterback, Gio Lopez. How do I put this into better perspective so people like me and you can relate? Okay. I think this is the best example I can give you. This is the equivalent to you wanting a brand new 2025 Toyota Corolla. How much is the 2025 Toyota Corolla? If I had to guess, maybe $45,000. Let's just go with an even number, $40,000. Yes, it's nice. It's a brand new car. It's got all the brand new accessories. It's up to date. It's got all the new modern technology. But you're going to pay a pretty penny for that. However, a 2018, 2019 Toyota Corolla, what are those going for? Maybe like $15,000, $20,000, maybe even less than that. Although you may want the newest car out there, we can all agree, what's the better bang for your buck? the 2019-2020 Toyota Corolla that's $15,000. It's the same thing here. Nico is the best transfer quarterback out there, but if you can get a guy who is not as good as him but way cheaper, you got to go after him. That's their strategy on all this. You know, in all their meetings, that's what North Carolina was talking about. It's looking like Nico and his representatives might have overvalued what he's actually worth. Grass isn't always greener. Sometimes you overvalue yourself. Nico gonna end up at the house next year watching football. Hold on. I just thought about something. We gotta talk about this. There's a legit possibility, if Nico doesn't get what he wants, that he does not play college football in 2025. Seriously. We need to be talking about that because there's a lot of guys that enter the portal and a team doesn't go after them and they just don't play. I want to play for Alabama. Guess what? Newsflash, buddy. Alabama doesn't want me to play for them. Therefore, if they don't want me or a team doesn't want me, I can't play football. But Nico's in a far worse situation compared to anybody else because most people would go anywhere. Like, for example, Cremani McClain. He didn't want money or nothing. He was like, screw it. I'll just walk on at Florida. That's fine. But what's different with Nico's situation is he's not going to lower his standards. What am I talking about? What am I referring to? He's telling these teams, hey, I walked out of Tennessee for $2 million, $2.5 million, so if I'm not getting $3 million, I'm not even going to talk to you. And I don't know if people have not informed Nico on this, but there's not many schools out there that have $3 million to throw around. This isn't the NFL. Here's a great comment. That didn't last long. Market for Nico might be slim. Definitely not going to get $4 million. Lost all leverage with how things went down at Tennessee. That's another great point. We need to talk about some more. The beauty of tampering for these players is you have a ton of leverage because you're still at your current school, if that makes sense. How do I explain this in the easiest way to understand? We'll just use Nico. If he's at Tennessee and illegally North Carolina, we'll just use them, they reach out to him and say, hey, I know Tennessee's giving you $2 million, but if you come here, we'll up the ante. We'll give you $3 million. That's the leverage I'm talking about because you already are at Tennessee, you're a starting quarterback, and they're paying you $2 million. Whereas now, you're not the starting quarterback anywhere. You're not getting paid any money. There goes your leverage. Does that make sense? That same phone call at North Carolina is now going something like this. Nico calls up coach. Hey, coach, I want $3.5–4 million. And they're going, well, we're not going to give you that. How about $2 million? And Nico's like, what? Hold on, partner. I was getting $2 million at Tennessee, and North Carolina saying, well, that was last year, not anymore. Currently, you're not getting any money. The leverage in that aspect is gonzos. It's over with. Nico committed a big sin. I've had buddies like this. It's the equivalent of quitting a job before you have a new one. Every single one of you watching this video have been through this experience or you know somebody that has. Common knowledge 101. Let me help out my youngsters. Never quit a job before you get a new one. If you know, you know. Nothing is more freeing in this world than knowing the current job you're at you could care less about because you're already starting a new one soon. Working a job you could care less whether or not you get fired from. Top 10 human experience. I remember one time I got to the point I was just doing stuff trying to test the limits. I was trying to get fired and I still couldn't. It's a different conversation for a different day, but it popped into my memory. It goes back to me just not caring about the job at all because I already had another one. We brought a mini hoop, put it up in the back, and we were playing gotcha. There were many more things I did there that was definitely crossing the line, but why did I feel like I could do that? Because I had leverage. I was like, I don't care if they fire me. I'm going to go to my new job. Because at the time, I believe, I actually had 3 jobs. So if I lost one, I was like, whatever. I actually need to lose one so I can sleep more. I eventually quit working there. But me being smart, getting back on track here, I didn't quit that job before I found a new one. Ironically enough, around the same time, I remember one of my buddies, he called me up and was like, yo, man, I quit that job. And I was like, sweet, dude, congrats. Where are you going to work now? And he said, what you mean? I said, wait, you don't have another job lined up? He said, no, I'm just tired of working there. Dude, we're all tired of working wherever we're working at. But you can't just quit. You got to have another one ready to go. And he said, I'll figure that out. Long story short, he didn't get a new job till 2 or 3 months. That's not a good game plan or strategy. Sorry for all those stories. I know some of you don't care. Getting back on track here with the Nico, North Carolina thing. It looks like they're out. Here's the next question. Who's in? Who's actually interested? From everything I've seen, I don't understand the Tulane one. Everyone I've talked to has not said Tulane, but some of these reports say Tulane. I just think it's UCLA. I'm also confused as to how USC's not in the mix, because I thought they would be. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section, where do you think Nico's going to go? If you know anything, let us know in the comment section. Many more things I could say. We're going to end it off here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But